Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? We just started a show and I already did it again. I just hit record on Audition because, well, that's what we do here. We're making
make sure you hit record an audition.
Yeah, that was your job. I assigned it to you like 7 months ago. But anyhow, why would we want to do that pre-show when we can do it in the middle of the intro? So, Gordon, how are you doing, friend?
I am doing all right. Yourself?
Not too bad, considering I'm tired. I had to go to the store to get me some Mountain Dew and ice cream to get an insulin spike so that I could do the show because I came home from work and mowed the grass and weed-eated and trimmed, mind you, trimmed the bushes by the garage and started to weed the flower bed because these are all things that need to be done, but you can't do them in Florida or Vegas until it gets down to 70 degrees.
Well, you know, our weeding's not much. I've got rocks. It's kind of nice.
Well, I got a fence line, I got a wellhead, 2 trees, a driveway, and the edging of the house. So it's not like I'm weed-eating like we once used to could back in Kentucky when we had to pretty much weed-eat a
side of a hill,
3-acre side of a hill. Or my personal favorite, push mowing 3.5 acres along the river and then weed-eating the ditch. But
yeah, so you said you went to get Mountain Dew and ice cream, and one would think that maybe there's some weird Florida, some kind of Florida float.
No, but that brings
or a hillbilly float going on there.
What's your favorite prepared store-bought ice cream? Now, when I say prepared, I mean not in a bucket, but a prepared delicacy.
So you're talking not the one that we're buying in the bucket in the store, right?
Correct. Is it an Eskimo pie? Is it a Nutty Buddy? Is it an ice cream sandwich? Is it a dilly bar from Dairy Queen? What is your, I guess, novelty ice cream fix?
Probably a Dove bar.
Probably what?
A Dove bar.
Dove bar. Nice. Nice. Melodies get this.
I haven't had one in probably 10 years, though.
When's the last time you bought a drumstick?
Probably as a child.
We enjoy a good drumstick, but when you go to the store, you have 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
You got their drumstick in an 8-pack or 4-pack.
Oh, don't sleep on the Heath bar.
And then the mini drumstick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, interestingly enough, both the mini drumstick and the drumstick itself are way too goddamn small. They're not like the ones we would get at the public pool or the school shop at Grove City High School underneath the mezzanine.
Now, have they gotten smaller, or do we feel that they have gotten smaller? Because the Big Mac used to seem big at one point in time in our lives, and now it seems like a tiny sandwich, although it's the same sandwich.
I agree with you, but in this case, no, because what it is in the retail and multi-pack environment, they are in fact smaller. However, if you go to the 7-Eleven and go to the little freezer where they sell individual ice cream bars, whether they're the SpongeBob ones or, you know, the cookies and cream chocolate, you know, bar, or the drumsticks, they have the full-size drumsticks that we used to get at a summer, you know, pool or a movie theater or whatever. And so instead of buying them by the box and getting the mini versions, just about every other night or so, I'll just take a trip down to the old 7-Eleven and buy 3 of them and toss them in the freezer, 1 for each of us. And so we were hankering some ice cream. I needed a Mountain Dew because I was processing video in my bed on my laptop, and I just kept dozing off. And so now I got a Mountain Dew,
right?
Diet Coke, and Larceny bourbon, a Miller Lite. They're all cold and they're all ready to drink. Fun fact for kids: when you're mixing liquor, use diet soda because it doesn't have legitimate sugar in it, because legitimate sugar breaks down the alcohol content. And last week you're talking about your drinking glass, right?
Yeah, the classic one you see in every TV show and everybody's grandparents' house.
And I was listening to the podcast while mowing the grass as kind of an on-air thing, and And I had mentioned that, well, if you don't have the one with the stars on it like yours, they would have a grid. And you kind of looked at me funny. This is what I was talking about. See, mine's the basic with just the basic grid on it, the checkerboard, if you will, opposed to the fancy sun rays or starburst yours has.
So I believe, let's go back to ice cream for a second, and I'm going to share this screen real quick.
We all scream for motherfucking ice cream.
I don't know if you see that.
Yep, I'm going to go full screen for those playing at home because we see your Word document. So go full screen on your...
Okay.
There you go.
We're going to do that. We're going to move you down here. Hey, we're all trying stuff new today, guys. So this is... We got Handel's Ice Cream. They're a company out of Ohio.
It looks like a gym. Like the logo.
They have the best ice cream, but this is where ice cream start. Like a pizza, you could go too far. This is called the Cookie Monster. And the only thing they're missing now is the stupid gummy worms.
Now, is that the filter, the shadow, or since it's the Cookie Monster, did they dye it blue?
They dyed it blue.
I'm guessing it's a blueberry, or is it a dyed
well,
vanilla?
It's probably like my favorite, which is called the Oreo, which is actually cookies and cream, Oreo cookies and cream ice cream, and cookie dough ice cream. So you got Oreos, cookies and cream, and cookie dough in a vanilla ice cream. Fucking fantastic.
We have a place down here called Neverland.
Uh-huh.
Not Neverland. Wonderland. Neverland's Peter Pan. Wonderland is Alice in Wonderland. And you go in there and they have this whole Alice in Wonderland theme. And they have, much like that place, the multi-flavored, super-tiered, homemade ice cream. At a certain level, you're just like, holy fuck, this is a little too much. And that's before you add all the toppings on it.
Well,
Mike says you can never go too far with ice cream, dude.
Yes, you can.
Michael, I'll have to take you down to, I was going to say Neverland again, Wonderland Ice Cream on Bayshore, and you'll just get your dick kicked in with sweetness.
Well, if you happen to be in, I believe, Bonita Springs.
Oh, Bonita. Yep, that's not too far from here.
I believe they have a Handel's Ice Cream down there. So you need to give her a check sometime, because I tell you, did you ever like Graters back in Ohio?
No, I don't think I was big into designer ice cream, not because I didn't like it.
Not designer ice cream, it's just good old school ice cream.
I don't know. Whatever Dad bought is what I ate. I mean,
does it come with a fucking pinstripe suit?
Remember the Swan ice cream that people would have delivered in their house in the 28-gallon buckets?
Yeah.
Now that's somebody who likes ice cream.
That's too much ice cream.
I would just go to... I think I got most of my ice cream like once I was of driving age. I think the only ice cream I ever got was either a milkshake from Wendy's or a McDonald's or a chocolate malt from United Dairy Farmers. I don't really think
I'd agree with you, but once I turned my mid-20s, that's when that all changed.
Gotcha.
Got a little, kind of like, liking scotch now.
Scotch,
get a little more. Ow, cat, that hurt. She's getting a little out of control with her biting these days. What's up, huh?
Don't you hate when,
She's 15, 16 years old now. So.
Oh, okay, that's what that is. I'm like trying to what the hell did I write there? I'm like reading my notes. I'm like, I can't read it.
I talked to you about a show I started watching.
Which one's that?
This is one of the songs from it. Let's try this again.
No, is this on Netflix?
It is on Netflix. That is correct.
Hold on. But just because we have production around here, no, I say that and I can't find it. Nah, fuck it. Never mind. I was gonna play the Netflix sounder. Go ahead.
Hopefully this will go through.
Yep.
So it's kind of got an eerie sound, right?
Yep. Is that the new Dexter theme?
Could probably stick with you like the song out of... What is that show called? That movie that really sticks with you?
Exorcist?
Damn, I forgot it.
Exorcist?
Jennifer Connelly.
Oh. Requiem for a Dream.
Yes. Think about it. Well, this is a show I didn't think I would like, and Katina didn't think she would like, and I'm going to turn that off because I can't tell the balance on my end.
Yeah, it's pretty low, but that's right.
Called Squid Game.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to get through the first 3 episodes.
Do I have to?
Yeah, because it gets serious. Now,
What if I'm one of
I've
these
got some
guys who
thoughts.
take
And
pride?
I got some thoughts, and I know you have some thoughts.
What
You
if
may
I'm
have
one of these
started
guys
it.
who take our audience is still looking at your Word file? Kill your screen share. What if you're one of these guys who takes pride in not watching all these super fantastic shows?
Well, have you tried watching it?
No. Now, let
Okay.
me ask you this before you get into it. Are you one of these read the subtitles or watch the bad overdub?
Watch the bad overdub. However, the overdub has gotten a lot better. If you don't just sit there and stare at their lips, you're fine. But one thing, I'm like, this is well written, but I believe there is a lot of good writing that is lost in translation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at all the bad titles in arcade games. But I'm the opposite, believe it or not. I'm actually, because I watch a lot of German stuff, and I actually just read the subtitles. So maybe I don't know if it's my background with producing videos or editing audio or whatever, but I'm just too distracted by the lips. Obviously, they can't sync up; it's impossible. But I'd rather listen to it in the original language and read the fucking subtitles, as long as there's not 30,000 of them on the screen at one time.
And I may do a second round that way. I thought it was going to be bad. It was tried, and even Katina thought, "Oh man, I'm not going to put up with it this way." But you actually kind of get over it pretty quick. Well, the only issue is just the words they use in the English language. I think is a little watered down and simplified a lot of times. But it.
Well, the other issue I have is
it is a fantastic concept.
I find a lot, and if you're one of these voiceover actors, forgive me, but I find a lot of these bilingual voiceover actors. I guess technically you wouldn't have to be bilingual, but it seems like a lot of times the voice actors, especially from maybe an area that doesn't produce such high budget stuff as Hollywood, I find that it's not so much the overdub of the lips, but it's the physical voiceover work that the voiceover actor who's doing the lip syncing does. It just, their acting chops just aren't quite there, and it almost brings down the quality of the person who's only acting on the screen by the voiceover not being that great.
Well, what's interesting is how this thing is going along. And you know, not the graze
No,
over.
and it's like where they're playing
absolutely
Duck
agree
Duck
with
Go
you say,
and people get killed.
This thing was bumping me. I'm like, is it the actor? It sounds like this sounds maybe a little off from the actual production sound, et cetera, and et cetera.
Did you just catch
that? Being said, watching this, it is worth the watch. You got to kind of put aside that this isn't Hollywood. It is made in South Korea. There's probably a lot of good stuff lost in translation, and I'm sure those things will be lost in translation even on the screen. But the concept behind it about people who are way in debt and their opportunity to get out of debt by playing these kids' games that well, if you lose, you don't. It doesn't end well for you.
Well, I was laughing because I meant to say, is this where they play the murderous game of Duck Duck Goose? But this being 2021 and me being a computer guy, I said, is this where they're playing the murderous game of Duck Duck Go?
I might as well. First game, I'll go ahead and say it. It's red light,
green light. Yeah, that's the one we've all seen in the trailer with the
head,
the lazy
the girl. Yes, but it gets crazier. It actually gets very emotionally wrenching. It's and one of the games about halfway through is beginning of the second half of the season.
Now, are they woke?
I've got 2 episodes left to watch.
Are they woke over in South Korea, or do you think maybe they might dust off their equivalent of Smear the Queer?
I don't detect any overt wokeness.
Hurt someone's feelings. Yet he didn't want to do it. Yes, troublesome people are often people in trouble. They may be mentally ill. Find out how you can help. Write Better Mental Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York.
Yeah, you know you wanted to say that.
Well, that's just one of those games I think we've talked about it in the past. It's interesting that every town had their own name for that game, and the funniest version I ever heard was it was just called Kill the Kid with the Ball. Because that was basically...
Well, that doesn't even have any zip to it.
No, but this is the younger generation. So.
Remember what they called dodgeball in Hamilton Township Middle School?
No, I do not.
It was the best name ever, Slaughterball.
That's good.
You don't remember? Y'all didn't play Slaughterball?
No, they probably
aren't. It was in the gym class.
They probably aren't allowed playing Red Rover nowadays either, because you basically clotheslined each other during Red Rover.
No, it was straight up slaughter ball, and we would wing those fucking red utility balls as hard as we could.
They don't even have those anymore. They're like foam balls now.
I think that right there was the beginning of the end.
You know, I was
When
listening
utility balls went away. Now, we do have, I don't know if you got this out there in Florida, but evidently there's quite a mean kickball league out here for adults.
I think there may be a kickball league. The fun thing I did back when we worked at K-Rock, when DC was the program director, he signed us up for the K-Rock dodgeball team, and there was actually a round robin, like whole day of 30 to 40-year-old dodgeball, and I think we went out like third game in. But yeah, we did some dodgeball, and that was fun. I got a fucking.
What's interesting about
the
the kickball, everybody I knew it was probably about the mid 2000s when it was, about 2010 when everybody was really jumping on it. Everybody got fucking injured.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. The worst kick is the kickball league's after parties. I am absolutely sure, Ed. That is probably as bad as rugby after parties.
Yeah, that's our friend Martin from New York. He's just always changed his names to the silly
Martino.
shit. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, I was going to do something, and I'm all squirrely. It's that time.
It's all that sugar and Mountain Dew you had.
Here's today's meaningless headlines from social media.
That's a whole lot of maple syrup. Face screaming in fear, Will Ferrell recently revealed that this background music is too fucking loud. That's a whole lot of maple syrup. Face screaming in fear, Will Ferrell recently revealed he turned down. Now this is a man who cares about the films that he does.
He's got integrity.
How much money do you think he turned down when they offered him the sequel to Elf? Elf number 2 they wanted to push out.
Would this be Elf on the Shelf?
I don't know. He turned it down, but guess how much money Will Ferrell turned down for Elf?
How much was his integrity to a point of
How much is the integrity of a man who is quite often seen wearing whitey tighties in his movies?
I would say 80 mil.
No. Apparently, you have a lot more faith in the sequel of Elf 2. But
my original guess was 22, but
you would have been you had been better. You would have nailed on the Price is Right rule. He has turned down $29 million for the Elf sequel. Will said he didn't feel he could promote the movie for an honest place if it wasn't well done, and he would only be doing it for the money.
Oh, wait. Was the first one well done?
The first one is kind of a cult classic, especially to certain generations. And
I was never a big Will Ferrell fan in the movies.
Well, I think you may have been aged out.
Yeah,
I think the people who enjoyed Elf were obviously the high schoolers, but your stoner ages, your 18 to 21-year-olds when it first came out. Kind of like Old School we talked about a few weeks ago. You were kind of aged out.
Super Troopers or...
Yep. Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian are spotted holding hands outside of a nightclub. The premiere of Dune sparks cultural appropriation discussion.
Oh, dear God. I want to see that. I love the book. Didn't really care for the first movie, but I did love the book.
Didn't he have a video game? Shanghai Disneyland wasn't quite the happiest place on Earth last night, with over 34,000 people were stuck inside the theme park after one person tested positive for COVID-19. Oh, and that has been...
And then they heard this. And turned it into a game show.
Do you want to play a game? What's your favorite scary movie? And that has been meaningless headlines because I still haven't dragged Carrie into the studio to have her record an outro to that.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Gutter, but there actually was music recorded before 1989. What is this? You're going to wear this to the show. You're going to wear the shirt of the band you're going to go see. Don't be that guy.
And now, to be or not to be that guy.
Martin and Michael, I want you guys to join in on this. Gordon, you're still... Never mind, it's delayed. Martin and Mike, I want you guys to join in on this. I want you to contribute to the list. I got short list tonight. But this is to be or not to be that guy. Gordon, how about where's his bicycle helmet backwards guy?
This guy exists?
Have you not seen this guy? This may be a Florida thing because cats are...
Well, Florida, old. I mean...
Well, it's not... It's It's the bicycle helmets like
Wait a second.
like the mountain bike helmets in
the ones that are built to be aerodynamically valuable in one direction and one direction only, and is built to protect your head a certain way.
yes,
Those helmets?
and the ones that if you don't have the little visor in the front, it is kind of hard to tell the front from the back. But the telltale sign is the V chin strap goes over your ears and not your peripheral vision, and so you'll see them riding down the street with the helmet on backwards, and the side triangle straps are basically like blinders on a fucking horse. It's like, dude, your helmet's on backwards. How do you think that those straps are supposed to be blinders?
Did you want to pull over and say, "Hey, man, you're new at this, aren't you?"
Well, they're usually like 50 or higher, like, and they're just getting into the biking thing, and they bought their helmet.
I guarantee you, if you look somewhere inside that helmet, it probably says front and rear.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I dated a chick on those leagues in Central Park. Gave her the D-shirts. Disney's How
I think
about...
we lost our signal to YouTube or Facebook.
No, that's because fucking restream out. I know. I'm still watching them. It's delayed now. I'm currently doing the blinder routine.
The broadcast is waiting for a signal. It should resume shortly.
That's weird because I'm watching. Mine may be delayed. How about? And I think I brought this guy up before, but I've actually seen the female equivalent today, and that is drives a custom themed car. Now I'm not saying to go to the paint shop and drop a bunch of money. I'm talking like. They buy a car of a certain color, then they do up the seat covers, and they put stickers and magnets. And one we talked about in the past.
You're talking like if somebody was to dress, they just wear all Adidas from head to toe?
No, kind of. For example, in the past when Dave was on here, I talked about the Iron Maiden mobile. The little car that drove around with all the Eddie stickers in the windows and on the doors, and things just head to toe Iron Maiden. And then there's a Dodge that drives around here. The paint color is the color of the Seahawks gray or blue part of their uniform. And then they actually put the lime green pinstripe down the hood, and they have Seahawk logos all over it. It's the ugliest damn thing in the world. But today, chick was from Ohio. How do I know? Because if you're from Ohio, your car will let everybody fucking know. She had an Ohio Cincinnati Bengals sticker with the B in Cincinnati, then the Ohio State Buckeye license plate ring. But
Ohio, it's a great place to get away from.
Bright orange Jeep.
Okay.
Vinyl stickers on the orange plastic fiberglass, high-end expensive seat cover, not the cheap flap, you pull over, but the actual enclosed. And it said, "Aren't you scared? Every day's Halloween." And then she had blackout taillight covers that made her taillights look like little jack-o'-lanterns. And then she had vinyl sticker. Basically, she turned her Jeep, her probably base model, a little up $40,000 Jeep, into a year-round Halloween display.
Man, that takes a lot of
energy.
God, that just takes not even energy. It just takes a lot of just obsession. I don't know what else to say. Be that obsessed with Halloween.
I actually know in real life, and they work at one of the places I do computers for. They are a die-hard Christmas. One of these keeps her tree up all year. You can ask them in June how many days till Christmas, and they will tell you down to the last fucking millisecond. Like, they're one of these, they live Christmas every day people. How about this
coming
guy?
In from
Go ahead.
Martin. Wait until these states start pushing vaccinations on their kids. Oh, your state's it's about to get more fun. Florida is about to get a big hit on migration.
Yeah, I actually got a new Gadsden flag, and it's the "Don't Tread on Me," but it has a snake, and it says, but on the bottom it has Florida. And I guess since then, DeSantis has put out a yellow one with an alligator. It says, "Don't tread on Florida." And the last one, like I said, these are short lists tonight. And this actually happened to me in California. Could you be this guy? Invites you over to their house and asks if you want a beer, and then brings you a St. Pauli's Girl or any other alcohol-free beer. Why not just ask me if I
don't
want a
even
soda?
ask me for what I'm thinking is going to be an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
And then it's not. That's called bait and switch.
Just say, and by the way, if you're not into alcohol, that's great. Whatever you do at your house is your business.
Hey, man, I got a near beer. Would you like one?
No,
Sure.
thanks. You got anything else? Sure. You want a water, soda, Gatorade?
How about some brown water?
But just, hey, you want a beer? Sure. And then I'm cracking into it. And first one I ever had, it took me a while to realize what a St. Pauli Girl was, and it tastes pretty good. But, yeah. When's the last time you actually heard of St. Pauli Girl?
It's been a while.
I think O'Doul's gets like the belt for being the alcohol-free one everybody knows about. But yeah, St. Pauli's girl, and this was a cat who was in my computer class. He's an older guy going to school for his MCP and all that stuff, and so that was actually in California, and that's how long ago that was. T-Mobile update. So I opened a show, I think last week or the week before, bitching about how the effort that I go through to try to remove a $25 line. Well, some things may not happen, and well, we're short a phone. And so instead of replacing the phone with a new phone, I figured I would upgrade mine and then give the person who doesn't have a phone my old phone, which was better than their phone that they no longer have. And so I went down to T-Mobile, and as we all know, sadly, LG is no longer in the phone business. They've gone to making microchips for electric cars, which greatly reduces your cell phone options when it comes to quality cell phones, non-burner phones. So now when you walk into a T-Mobile, your options are iPhones, Samsung, Galaxy S, the Google Plus for $1,300. No thanks. Or some low-end, like, fucking generic burner, Android phones.
The OnePlus is supposed to be decent.
Yeah, that thing's $1,300.
Yeah.
A little bit out of my price range.
They're all at least $1,000 these days.
Yeah, but see, if you get them around between 7 and 8, it's only like an extra $20 to $30 on your monthly bill. But you hit that $1,300 one, that's like an extra $60. So, but anyhow.
So, yep.
But the other problem is shortages.
Yep.
Out of all their phones temporarily out of stock, even on the cheapest one that they're no longer making.
Somebody's feeling a little effed right now, I'm sure.
They had some iPhones except for the newest one, but I'm not an iPhone fan. And even on all their Google phones and the burner pluses, except for the $1,300 one, temporarily out of stock. And so I find a phone.
Mike, what's wrong with IPA? IPAs are good. I've been drinking IPA since the early to mid 90s.
Because IPA is the pumpkin spice of the beer world.
Well, back then it wasn't. I'm OG IPA, so y'all can go screw while you're drinking your Swillweiser.
You can take the boy out of the big bone, but you can't take big bone out of the boy. Actually, they were Budweiser drinkers down there.
Yeah.
But anyhow, back to it. So I find a phone. The one phone that I wanted was 4 weeks out. Now this is what you call an upsell, because the next model up was 3 days out. Okay, fine. So I go down that road. Much like the phone thing. Okay, you have access to this email? Yep. We're going to send you an email.
Uh-huh.
And you need to do the digital signature within the next 4 hours or your order will be canceled. Now
you're on the clock.
They need a signature on the because you basically had to pay the taxes and their $30 upgrade fee, even though I didn't upgrade because I kept my old phone, but whatever. So I logged the email and I launched the T-Mobile link on my T-Mobile phone while driving down the street, and it loads their page, and it's just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. So I try that 4 or 5 times, keep spinning. I'm like, okay, I'll just get home on my internet. I'll deal with it there. Get home on internet, and it errors out. So whether or not I have a phone coming in 3 days, I don't know. I've gone back and checked. I haven't gotten a threatening your order has been canceled email. But this was not on my list of shit. Can we talk about Dell for a minute? I had a customer whose Alienware laptop blew up on him.
Oh!
Plugged into power supply, didn't turn on. Plugged in another power supply, didn't turn on. He brought it to me. I smelt it. It smelled like a burnt fucking motherboard. I mean, you could just, the smell of burnt electronics.
Boys, he locked up the motor in his car.
Mm-hmm. And so he's like, well, how much do you think a new motherboard of this thing costs? I said, well, I don't know. It depends on availability. So we start.
Did you find one?
We start surfing around, and they were coming up for about $900 to $1,200 from third parties. He's like, well, blow a phone call on the Dell. For those who don't know, Dell bought out Alienware years ago. That's why they suck now. So I blow a phone call on the Dell, talk to a guy, give him the express service tag code, And he's like, well, do you want one with the built-in processor, or do you want to swap processors? I'm like, well, in all my years, there's basically on laptops, the processors are glued in. They're not like PCs. I mean, you can take them out, but it takes blowtorch and a prayer, and chances are I don't want to have to call this guy back a week later and say, oh, we got to get you a new processor. So I said, give me a quote with an i7 processor in it. Turns out this computer he bought in 2017. Comes back, $250. Okay, well, that changes things. We just went from a $900 motherboard plus labor to, which would make it buy a new laptop, right? Why spend $1,200?
If you get one. Did you get like so what gives? Why is this so much cheaper than everything else I'm finding?
Well, what we just assumed was it's Dell. This motherboard's old. They're wanting to liquidate the stock, get it out of here, whereas the guys selling it from the third party paid full retail price. They still got their margins built in. They're trying to recoup the money they spent on it to fill their inventory.
Mm-hmm.
This was on October 26th. Delivery date was November 3rd. What's today's
Is that
date?
coming by the mail?
Yeah, UPS.
Okay. Yeah, because the mail is now taking 5. They're expecting anything mailed through the postal service to take 5 to 7 days longer than normal.
So I get a text message, a frantic text message this morning, because when I ordered the motherboard, Aiden over at Dell was having issues. My system's frozen up. Can I get your information, and I'll put the order in, and I'll email you a confirmation once the order's done. It'll probably be 20 minutes to 30 minutes.
You work for the company that makes computers. In
sure, Aiden, whatever. So we give Aiden the information, and he sends us an email on October 26th. Here's your order, yada, yada, yada. Wang dang, thank you, ma'am. I forward it to the end user because he had already left. And we go about our day. October 26th. The motherboard is due to land tomorrow, and I get a frantic email, text message from the end user saying, hey, I just clicked on the view order details, and it has shown as being canceled.
Do what?
Fantastic. Now, the order had been canceled, but no one sent me an email. No one had called me. No one from Dell tried to reach out and touch somebody in the old AT&T phrases. I'm not going to get into the runaround that is phone support, but I spent an hour and a half getting tossed around to the point where I thought about coming home and doing it so I could record it for prosperity of how frustrating it is. But long story short, what we figured out is when we put in the order, they only had one in stock, and it got shipped out before our order was processed by Aiden.
Like 2 ships passing in the night.
Okay, fine. Shit happens. Yep. So, can't get a hold of Aiden. Got a new business sales rep.
Let me guess his name is Jaden?
No, his name is Jeremy.
Okay.
And Jeremy...
Good old school name.
And Jeremy said, well, here's the problem. I got 5 or 6 of these with the i5 in it and only 1 with the i7. If we order the i7, you guys are running the risk of same thing happening. By the time your order gets processed, it may be out from underneath us because our system's not that up to date. It doesn't show us in real time. It's first come, first serve. So I contact the end user. He's like, well, fuck it, let's buy both. And if the i7 ships to us, then we'll cancel the order on the i5. Because you think if the i7's $249, how much is the i5 motherboard, right? And while you're at it, since the damn thing fried out, why don't you go ahead and have them add a built-in battery to it, and that's an extra $130. So Jeremy gets the quote. The i7 motherboard is $900. And the i5 motherboard is $549.
Oh!
What happened to this $249 i7 motherboard that Aiden had quoted me?
It's the one that was kicked under the shelf for a long time.
I can't find it, dude. I think he quoted you the wrong one. Fan-fucking-tastic. But talking to we're like $900.
Yeah, Aiden's no longer with us.
$900 for a motherboard to repair a computer bought in 2017. We discussed it, and he's just going to buy a brand new laptop. But it's just like... 2 weeks and 4 hours later, I'm back to where I was 2 weeks ago, minus the $249 part that we had been waiting on. But and thanks Dell Business Sales for kicking back an email to your end user saying, oh, you know that order we placed for you 2 hours ago? You ain't getting that shit, so you better make new plans. Nothing. No email, not a pinata.
Well, in the business I'm in, we got vendors now that will only hold prices for 24 hours, and if we had a quoted price, they can change the lead time at any given time.
Michael, you're correct. It is oftentimes cheaper to buy a new laptop, but, however, When it comes to business equipment, and this is why I primarily do business over residential, is there's so much, and Gordon can attest to this, there's so much configuration as far as network shares and joining the domain and configuring email programs and loading up proprietary software that maybe somebody has the key code for the software they bought 2 years ago, that after you buy that laptop for cheaper or that desktop computer, you then got to pay an IT guy to come in and spend 2 hours getting everything back the way the old one was. And so oftentimes, if the computer's not super old, it's more cost effective to maintain what you have until the beginning or near the end of the tax year when you want to spend that last bunch of money on a big project. So a lot of times in the business world, it is cheaper to actually repair.
Get out of that yearly subscription for Office they want now.
Yeah, and when people ask me, what's your honest opinion? Should I replace this machine? I don't get rich off of parts, and so here's what I tell everybody. Here's exactly what I say. Gordon, you're like, hey, should I replace this laptop? I look at you and say, let me ask you this. Before this problem happened, were you tickled pink with this computer, or were you constantly pulling out your hair and wanting to throw it in the canal? If the answer was you were always getting mad at it, you were always wanting to throw it out in the backyard, don't waste your money. Buy a new one. If you're pleased with it, if you never cursed it, if you're happy with its performance, and we can get you a part for $100 and $100 labor, $200 to fix a machine that you're perfectly happy with is probably better than $500 to $700 plus. As Gordon has said, I can't find my Office 2010 key code, so now I got to buy a new Office and all that crap, which happens a lot of times, especially in the business environments. People can't find the key codes for their proprietary software that they bought a long time ago.
Crap.
Rookie.
Gordon's
new. Gordon's new to playing the producer sound guy, and he wasn't aware of the always mute your browser before the advertisement plays, and then cue it up, and then hit play.
Yeah, I need to get a sound. I downloaded a free soundboard. We'll see how it works.
SoundForge. SoundPlant's the one I use.
Yeah, SoundPlant. That's probably a good one.
Here's a topic Gordon and I brought up the other day. Gordon, you're still sharing. Oh, never mind. It's back. Here's some quality marriage advice for you guys. If you want to maintain that relationship, don't use YouTube to prove yourself right when it comes to arguments with the old lady, because it doesn't end well for you. Have you ever been tempted?
It ends well. It ends on my terms. We may be in other rooms for a while, but it'll end on my terms.
Well, they call that Googling me, right?
Well, there's something to be said, because every time something comes up, I'm that asshole who says, let me look it up. And then I'll look up several variants of it,
But yeah, it's funny. It's like you pull out your phone, you go to Google, and you get that little voice in your head, and it says, is it worth it? And Gordon and I were talking. I said, yeah, it's kind of like the episode Everybody Loves Raymond, where Raymond does the one thing that all guys have dreamed of, and it backfired on him. And that was the one time that his wife actually wanted to have sex after shooting him down for like the last 4 months. He said, you know what? I'm going to turn these tables and show her what it's like. And so,
Yep.
And so he says nay, and then was dumb enough to explain why. After she got all upset, he said, how does it feel? And they basically did an entire 45-minute episode on how that was the world's worst mistake. So, yeah, when you got ideas like that, just stop, breathe, think about it.
Well, you did, in all fairness, ask me, how do I explain this?
Mm-hmm.
And how this works?
Mm-hmm.
And how this person thinks it works, how it doesn't work. And I said, well, you just YouTube it and give them a tutorial.
Nah, that didn't work.
Did you try it?
No.
No?
No. I heard someone say on a very smart person who looks in, he's like a researcher and this and that, he looks into different cause and effects, talking about environmentalism, global warming or man-made, whatever they call it now, and he was basically saying, we've had 25 years worth of these climate conventions over in Sweden or whatever, and he was saying the United Nations had a independent study done on the effects of the positive effects on global warming policies that have been done over the last 20 or 30 years, and the outcome of the policies and were they worth the money, time, and energy and effort spent. Because every year we have the summit, all the world leaders get together, they agree to do certain things, and as soon as they get home, they break their promises and go back to doing things the old way. And what they had discovered was...
It's like all the meetings you have at work. Everybody gets together, they talk about how things are going, and as soon as you walk out the door, it's all forgotten.
And what they discovered was the last year they had seen any positive changes to reversing global warming or man-made, whatever you want to fucking call it, it has been since 2005. Meaning, from the late 90s all the way up until 2005, all the global climate change policies we made, all the environmental regulations we started to enforce, they actually made an impact, and they could see a positive change, less carbon, blah, blah, blah. But since 2005 up until 2021, all the policies, plans, regulations, laws, and implementations that the different governments around the world has implemented has made absolutely negative, zero noticeable change to what we're seeing in environmental rules. And his whole point was not that we need to stop having these conferences, but we need to stop having these conferences where we come up with the same bullshit ideas for the last 10 years that don't work. We have the science, independent studies showing that the last time anything positive came that could be reflected through environmental studies was 2005. Since then, we've been trying all this different nonsense. Maybe it's time we start looking at different avenues and trying new things that have been voted down in the past to quite possibly see if they would work. I say all that, this long routed road, to say this. In the interview, somehow they that mind state got switched into COVID and the mask, blah, blah, blah.
Of course.
But I say all that to say this is the experts said, well, what's crazy? It has been shown and proven that distance learning doesn't teach anything.
Yeah, I can agree with that because Clark County School District's having a hell of a time with it.
Well, my first thought was actually had nothing to do with COVID, had nothing to do with distance learning, but had to do with homeschooled kids that had been homeschooling for years. And one of the ways Lee County here in Florida was able to roll out the pandemic distance learning so quickly is, unbeknownst to me and most parents who don't do homeschooling and don't have people who are teachers in there, is Lee County already offered a at-home curriculum for those parents who are teaching at home who don't want to build their own curriculum. Lee County offered them a predefined curriculum that will teach their children and meet all the state requirements to get their education. And so when I'm hearing, well, studies have showed that distance learning doesn't work, it's like, so what are you saying? The people who've been homeschooling for the last 20 or 30 years aren't working, or is it going from a structured environment into that environment? Is that the part that doesn't work? Whereas if you've been homeschooled for 5 years, you're used to it, and you probably have parents that are stern taskmasters. But it was just interesting. Like, so he's saying that,
and also it depends on what studies
you're
who are you talking to and which parents are you talking to, right?
Yeah.
On these studies, you can hyper focus on the ones who have never homeschooled in their lives, and it's just, here's your kids, figure it out. Yeah, they're not going to learn anything. Versus the ones who have been homeschooled.
Long.